So the time is 1:56 in the a.m. I have actually been awake since 11:30. I'm trying to bust this episode out and possibly throw in a little nap before I have to go to work at 8. So wish me luck. Good morrow, everybody. My name is Robin, also known as Sunny Side Up Gal, and you are my Sunny Side Up pal. Good morning, good morrow, and good day, and welcome to another fabulous Fatlogic Friday song. It's Fatlogical Friday. It's Fatlogical Friday. It's Fatlogical Friday. Bila. So today is a Fatlogical Friday. What that means is we are going to go to Reddit and explore the subreddit Fatlogic, scrolly, and chit and chat and talk a lot of trash about the random Fatlogical takes found on the internet together and giggle and kick our feet. And laugh.
Ryan!
And laugh at the ridiculousness that some of the fat acceptance, fat liberationists in the world believe.
Do you believe?
Lose a little bit of brain cells, but also have a lot of fun. You know what I mean? If you're unfamiliar with what fat logic is anything that deviates from the scientific facts of body weight management. This can range from fundamental misunderstandings of how biology and physics work to lengthy political diatribes about how everything is society's fault. Falling victim to fat logic means accepting misinformation that will harm efforts to keep your body at a healthy weight or lose weight if you need to do so.
So do.
It's already, stupid. All right, so what does this even mean? If your lesbianism doesn't include fat lesbians, you're boring. Can we just agree that people are allowed to be attracted to whoever they want to be attracted to? And if that does not include fat people, I think that that's okay. And I think it's a little icky when people judge you or think that you're like fat phobic in the sense of you hate every single fat person on the planet. I think it's icky when people complain that your sexual attraction to or your lack of sexual attraction of fat people is like hatred. I'm sorry that I'm not interested in dating somebody who's much, much fatter than I am. Not me, I'm married, but like you can't coerce. I know it's not really, is it really coercion? You can't really force people to love fat people by making them feel guilty for being fat phobic. Do you know what I mean? Or judging them, being like, you're boring if you don't like fat lesbians. Like, your opinion, sure, you're entitled to it. However, do you want to just like make people feel so bad that they don't date fat people that they like will just be like, fine, I'll date a fat person? That's not real love. There's nothing really there. They're being kind of pushed into it. They're being pressured into dating fat people, and like it's not going to work out. It's not going to work out in the end. Somebody's going to get hurt, in my opinion. Let's see what the comments say. Okay, gay people aren't allowed to have preferences. Gotcha. Yeah, exactly. No one is allowed to have preferences if those preferences don't include fat people. Period. They do be like that. I'm queer and I have preferences. Oh my gosh, I think I just caused an earthquake. Some might say you're avoiding one. That's good. I love Reddit so much. It's worse. Not only do you owe them access to your body, you owe it to them to condition yourself to like it. Even if you're married and will never touch them, you still owe it to them to become attracted to them. If you aren't, you're a bad person. That's exactly what it feels like. Doesn't it feel so weird? Why are we, I've noticed a lot in the fat acceptance community, like people being like, if you don't like fat women, you're fat phobic. That makes you a shitty person, yada, 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 yada. And it's like, why do we care? Why would we want to fight for people who don't like fat people? Like, if you're a fat person, why would you try to even argue, hey, if you don't like fat people, if fat people aren't part of your preferences, that's fucked up. That's discrimination. That's blah, 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 blah. Like, why would you even, if they just automatically change their mind, you're just going to be like, okay, yeah, I believe you. I don't know. Why would you even want to fight for somebody who didn't like fat people to begin with? Like, why would you want to convince somebody? You will never find it from me. You'll never find it from me because I'm married and I love my husband. But like, you'll never see it from me. You'll never see me trying to convince someone to love me or someone to like me. If you don't like me, I'm sorry, nothing I can do. Bye. Right? I don't understand why the fat acceptance community is like, no, we have to make people fucking want to have sex with us. Like, it's why? Move on. Gross. Gross. Okay, saw this in another sub. It's kind of tame compared to the others, but I think it fits still. I was in here today. So it is if you're just listening, it looks like it's like a review for a restaurant or maybe a grocery store. This is from 9 years ago. I was in here today and watched an employee fat shame a customer. I was appalled. She stood there for 10 minutes and the employee said, "We can't help you. We don't carry your size." I'm telling you, she was maybe a 40 double D tops. Way to go. I'll keep my wife from spending money there. Do you want this employee to pull a 40 double D out of her ass? What do you want us to do? As somebody who's worked in retail, I've never experienced this, but I can understand the frustration. And I don't see any, I mean, I don't see where the fat shaming is. Where is the fat shaming? I'm sorry, we can't help you. We don't have your size. Where's the fat shame there? It would be different if she was like, "I'm sorry, you're so fucking fat. We don't have your size." That's different. That is fat shaming. Am I right? But at some point, you kind of just have to be like, well, yeah, I can't really expect this person to pull out a big ass bra or a big ass article of clothing from thin air. People are really dumb. I am a little shocked though. Like a 40 double D is not that big. Am I wrong? So I feel like the average would be like a 36 double D, right? What's the average bra size for a USA woman? Okay, yeah. The lingerie industry data and fit studies indicate the average bra size for a woman in the United States is a 34 double D. So I feel like that's not that bad. That's not that far off. But I mean, you could go to Lane Bryant, just saying. Comment section. Let's see what these people had to say. All right, so telling someone that they don't have their size equals fat shaming. That's exactly what I was saying. Their standards for what shaming are so low, the world has lost its meaning. The word has lost its meaning. Agree. I feel like the fat acceptance community, nothing's a joke. You're not allowed to joke. Everything is taken so seriously. Any bit of criticism, fat shaming. You disagree with me, you're hateful. Or if you cover them on your channel, you're bullying them. You say a swear word on your channel with them featured on it, you're full of hatred.
Shut up. Comments have been limited. Okay. I came across this YouTube video about me. Please don't go watch it. I don't want for somebody who is this hateful and waste their time making a video like this to have a voice that's louder than mine.
There's this podcast where comedians read and make fun of dumb reviews they find online. One of them was for a theme park and a woman was mad she was too fat to fit in most of the rides and the funnel cake was too small. I would never write a review like that. Like, I would be so embarrassed. Yuck. You know, it's funny too. I don't really like to write like terrible reviews. I like to write a lot of nice reviews. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything. I just think when I do write a good review, it's because I have something funny to say about it. And very rarely do I write bad reviews. It has to be a terrible
sandwich, by the way.
Something had to have been terrible to happen. Let me see. I'm gonna check my Google. I'm considered a Google what's it called? I'm a top contributor for Google reviews. I'm a local guide level 5. Just saying. So yeah, some of my reviews. Let's see. I haven't. I'm not gonna share any of my reviews, but I will read them and maybe I'll just like cut them out. But always the friendliest people love their black pudding. This is for like a British pub that I used to go to. Everything is nice. Like, I only do 5 stars. The reason why I do that is because when you look at reviews at anything, most people leave reviews if like they have a bad experience. So I like to offset that, right? Because 9 times out of 10, you don't really like I feel like extremely bad experiences don't happen as often. So I like to write a nice review, but I also try to be funny. Oh, here's a bad review. This is from 2 years ago. Okay, Robin. Let's listen to this. 2 stars because I want to preface with this. The staff was absolutely wonderful and adorable. Why can't I just be mean? I don't know. All right, the wine is also good, but the alcohol is good when paired with bread and oil, which happened to be the best part of the meal. Carrabba's used to be put. I went too far. Carrabba's used to be a put on your best. Carrabba's used to be a put on your best place to visit. Now the seats are torn, the floors are clean but stained, and the chairs need a new paint or replaced. I ordered the veal, and my husband got lobster ravioli. I'm glad we came. I'm glad we both had big glasses of wine because when the food came out looking like a TV dinner, we both laughed. Making memories is what we call a failure of a meal. I put making memories is what we call a failure of a meal. So Michael and I are pretty positive when it comes to stuff like that. So like we would call this a making a memory type of date, right? Flavor, ravioli was great with the lobster filling, but there was a lack of salt or seasoning on the filling and the sauce. My veal looked boiled and the sauce, again, no salt or seasoning. My asparagus was wrinkly, no flavor or seasoning. Yeah, it was super bland. Hopefully they can turn things around. We had a great time and the people were great, but the place is falling apart and the food sucked. Bread was aight. That's what I put. Bread was aight. Order type in dine in, dinner, $30 to $50 per person. Yeah, it was expensive. And nobody replied. Dang, should I start reading more of my reviews? I do have, ooh, yeah. I think I might make this a segment. So I might make it a segment for members because I don't want you guys to know where I live. Okay. But what I was saying was like, this is so fat coded. I would never complain about being too fat for the rides and then being like, my funnel cake isn't big enough. That's so fat. Like, what are we doing here? The $20 funnel cake that's meant to be shared with multiple people is too small. Yeah, they're so big. Where? This was written by somebody with a wife. Yeah, that's funny. And someone who will keep their wife from spending money where wife wants. Good choice of words, revealing what kind of a person that someone is. Yeah, that's crazy. If they don't have that size, they just don't have it. Cool your jets, OOP. Maybe a 40 double D tops. Yeah, that seems like a lot. Yeah, that seems like you should probably buy online. That is multiple handfuls. It's like 2 buckets on your chest. Metabolism is unfair. Normal people's metabolism when they eat a Whopper and 2 liters of Pepsi. Peace. My metabolism when a carb molecule enters my system. Atomic bomb. I mean, it's not that extreme. Like, this is coming from somebody who has Hashimoto's and PCOS, and first, Hashimoto's makes things very difficult and slow when it comes to losing weight. It's possible. I did wake up skinnier this morning, right? But you have to eat in the way that's right for your body, and you have to figure that out on your own. PCOS also makes it super difficult, and obviously I have to watch my carb intake out. However, I wouldn't say that I wouldn't make I've made posts like this. I'm gonna be real with you. I've made posts like this, like me when I look at a cookie or when I breathe next to a cookie and I gain 5 pounds. Like, it seems like it's like that, but it's clearly it's not. Like, I don't gain 5 pounds from looking at a cookie or smelling one. It's jealousy. I'm being real with you. This is jealousy. This person is jealous. This person is jealous that they can't eat a Whopper and 2 liters of Pepsi. But let's break it down. Is the person that they're First of all, this normal person doesn't exist. Normal people's metabolism when they eat a Whopper and 2 liters of Pepsi. What normal person is fucking drinking 2 liters of Pepsi? You know what I mean? This person doesn't exist. But if this person and then the person who's complaining about their metabolism, you could eat a Whopper and 2 liters of Pepsi. You would just have to move more to offset that extra energy that you put into your body. That's the problem. There's not a understanding of energy and different types of energy. Calories in, calories out works. If you are not a moving person, if you are a sedentary person, you can't have as many carbohydrates. And because carbohydrates are a fast burning form of energy, if you are not moving and if you are not an active person, if you're a sedentary person, your body has less demand for the glucose that carbohydrates produce. If you're eating a high carb diet and you're sedentary, it's super easy for you to, carbohydrates are super easy to over consume. And if you're like constantly eating them, you will have chronically elevated glucose and insulin levels, and that can contribute to insulin resistance. But if you have insulin resistance, then you're going to gain weight. I think that I've said this before, I think that there's along with the obesity epidemic, I think that there's an insulin resistance epidemic that we don't really realize or are paying attention to. If this person, so the person in this picture, sorry, not in this picture, but the person who's complaining about eating carbs, I'm absolutely positive they are probably insulin resistant and maybe have another metabolic issue, right? Maybe they have Hashimoto's and they're complaining about their slow metabolism, or they're sedentary and they're eating too many carbs for like their lifestyle. So again, carbs are fast burning, like carbs are great for like fast burning energy. So like eating carbs before you run, eating carbs before you work out, whatever, right? However, if you're sedentary, you're not moving that glucose into your muscles or whatever, and it's just going to store as fat. That's nutshell. I'm not a scientist, but that is a nutshell understanding of how a sedentary lifestyle and a high carb diet don't really do well. Sure, you can eat like I'm not saying don't eat carbohydrates. You could eat a carbohydrate diet, but you'd just have to just like balance and eat the right amount of calories. The problem is when you're sedentary, you're eating a lot of carbohydrates and you're insulin resistant, you're going to be like craving more sugar and eating more, and it's just I don't think it works, I don't think it works. I don't think a lot. When you are sedentary, there is less need for immediate fuel like carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is an immediate fuel, right? If you consistently eat a high carb, high calorie diet, so if you consistently eat a high carb, high calorie diet, you will store fat. This person could eat carbs, they would just have to move more. I'm guessing that there's something wrong with them though. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm guessing there's something wrong with them. Okay, got it. You barely eat. Watching my 600-pound life makes me feel worse in the wrong way. Do people think I also eat 30 kilograms? 30 kilograms of food a day because I look like them? I barely eat. What do you mean they're having 10 eggs, 1 kilogram of bacon, 8 pieces of toast for breakfast, and then having brunch? As a former more obese person, I am still technically a type 1 obese. I'm almost there, you guys. Like, pray. Like, I am almost there. But as somebody who used to be like that, who was like, I barely eat, it's not true. You are eating. And if you're like, I barely eat, and you're thinking I only eat once a day, you're probably eating a mountain of food once a day. You know what I mean? But also, I felt like back in the day, I used to think, oh, I barely eat because I would snack all day. And when you see like your little snack, you're like, I just had a tiny bag of chips. But you do that like 5 times a day. It would feel like you're barely eating, but you actually are, like the calorie count, like the calories add up, right? But also I felt like I was barely eating, and I know that I was super sedentary. So maybe I felt like I was not eating a lot of food, but like I was eating high calorie food and I wasn't moving. So that's why I gained all the weight. That's why I was fat, right? Plus insulin resistance and yada, yada, yada. And I had it was mostly carbs, like so much rice, you guys, so much rice. But yeah, being sedentary, high calorie, high carb, insulin resistant, I could have been 600 pounds, maybe one day, right? Not a goal I'm interested in achieving. But yeah, I understand why some of these people are like, I barely eat. They don't know nutrition like I do.
She doesn't understand nutrition like I do.
If you just started weighing your food and started watching and like looking and being like, this much sour cream is this many schmalaries, or this much ranch is this many schmalaries, like, that's crazy. Didn't know that. I feel like people have no idea how much food they are actually eating or how much they're adding to their food that adds up. The other thing too is I think a lot of people are drinking their schmalaries. Like, this person probably might be like, I barely eat, but they're drinking 600 schmalaries in soda all day or juice. People think juice is like super healthy. I'm on the fence because you're taking all the fiber out of it. Like, what are you doing? I don't fight me in the comments, but I think fructose and sucrose and all the oses, it's all sugar, honey, sugar. It's all sugar. It's all sugar. and I'm good with it. Okay. Some girl on TikTok. Okay, here we go. Some girl on TikTok is throwing a fit because someone else made a knitting pattern for a garment that only goes up to an XL. Oh, so fat people not welcome. Got it. Shut up. No, you're not then. Especially not you because you got an attitude. Hey, so it's not my friend's responsibility to appease all sizes when she does this as a fun hobby, and anything above that is coming from a place of wanting to connect with her community in a way that she can at the moment. Period. And then the creator said, hey, I don't think that we're mutuals or in the community with each other, but thanks for your comment. This was my first garment pattern right now, and starting off with 6 sizes to see how the testing and work goes. If there is an interest in the pattern itself, I plan on adding, maybe they're planning on adding more. I'll be honest, I think that fat people should be allowed to be mean to skinny people. I don't care. Everything in the world is catered for skinny people. I think we earn the right not to be nice to people who don't even see us as humans worthy of feeling human. First of all, projection. Like, I don't like this feels very made up. You know, I don't think that skinny people or people who are in straight sizes or people who are of healthy size or healthy weight treat fat people like they're not human. I know I don't, because I'm surrounded by fat people. I also am a fat, right? I go to the store. Everybody at my stores are obese. I live in the South. Everybody's obese. They're just regular people, right? The whole, you were mean to me, so I'm just going to be mean and hateful to you for the rest of my life is so outdated and like immature. It's so icky to me and ugly. Like, have we not heard of being the better person? First of all, again, I think that they're making this whole like we are not being treated as human beings up. You know how good it is just to be a better person, just to be the better person and like take it on the chin and be like, well, fuck them. I'm just not gonna follow them. And I'm not gonna buy this knitting pattern. I don't even think they knit. They're not in the community, the knitting community. Let's read the comments. Okay, astounding how many ways people are looking for excuses to be rude to other. I agree. Like, people really are looking, like, especially people in the fat acceptance community. They're just like, first of all, on Tumblr, they're all making up stories, you know, making up random, like having dreams and being like, this really happened. Like that lady who was talking about how she got bullied at school and her teacher came and kicked her or something like that, like because she was fat. I don't know. Oh, and they don't need an excuse. They just do it habitually. Yeah, but there's a difference in rude. Okay, but there's a difference of rude because you're a bitch and rude and then justify it with a struggle session about privilege. Yeah, you don't get to, just because, in my opinion, you get 1 or 2 chances with me. Like, if I'm in public and you're rude to me, I'll try to be nice, right? If you continue to be rude, it's on, okay? I feel like these people are always looking, they're like, man, somebody try me. I hate that. I hate that attitude. The people who are like, someone try me today because I'm ready to fight, right? That's what the fat acceptance community feels like. That's what this post feels like. Somebody wanting to fight just to fight or just be argumentative. But I do hate that. Justifying rudeness or like being ugly with a struggle session about privilege. Like, they don't treat me like I'm a human being, so let me just go and talk to this poor girl about her knitting pattern and how it sucks. Like, go somewhere else, outside maybe, and touch some grass. I'm so glad the size inclusivity tantrums in the knitting sewing communities have made it to the sub. Oh, we have a knitting and sewing community person. I don't know what this stands for. FWIW. From what I remember. From what I witnessed. Okay. I'm getting it. A lot of designers have released extended size ranges or designs specifically for fat people, so it's not like there are no options. So it's silly to attack a designer who's just getting started. Period. Like, go somewhere else. Literally do a Google search there are so many resources online, you guys. Find another pattern and move on. This person clearly doesn't know about you, so move on, right? I wanted to say doesn't care about you, but I don't know. Maybe they do care. Okay, these people eat with the mentality of a 4-year-old. Period. We know somebody who does, who proudly, would I say proudly? They claim that they have the palate of a toddler, and it's really annoying, actually. Okay, when you label foods, ooh, can y'all see that? Okay, when you label foods as good or bad, healthy or unhealthy, you tend to think of your eating habits and yourself as a good or bad person depending on what you ate. No, I don't. I actually no, even when I was in like the grips of a eating recorder, I never really was like, I'm a bad person. I was more just like, I don't even know how think about it. I'm trying to think now. When I'm eating, I wouldn't know, not a good or bad person like morally, but I would be like, I would feel guilty because I'd be like, dang, I really don't have any control. You know what I mean? Like, I really am this, controlled by food, and then I would feel guilt about that. But as far as like me being a good or a bad person, no, I don't think I've ever like associated somebody who's a good or bad person unless it's like a mom who's super duper fat and like neglecting her kids, or like it's a parent who is fat and also their kids are fat. Then I'm like, okay, this is like gluttony. This is like you don't care about anything but food, right? The answer isn't to say that unhealthy isn't bad. It's to remove all judgment labels from food other than saying things like, this tastes good and I like it. If you're saying to yourself, oh, eating ice cream for dinner would be unhealthy, instead you should ask yourself, do I need to fuel my body? What am I craving? What am I craving? What's available for me to eat right now? What can I afford? What do I have the energy or spoons to prepare? Will this food make me feel good emotionally? How will this food make my body feel? Let's break these down. Do I need fuel for my body? I think at nighttime, no. Just go to bed, right? But yeah, you should ask yourself, it says eating ice cream for dinner. I think that's a personal choice. I'm not going to say yes or no because I've done that, right? Right? Sometimes I'm really not hungry and like it makes me think of the park size plus the plus size park hoppers. There's that, I gotta find it, but it's that gal, and she's like, our friend was thirsty, so we got some ice cream.
Before we left the park, we were thirsty for ice cream, so Katie headed over to Aloha Isle and got the coconut pineapple Dole Whip.
But sometimes I'm not like hungry for like actual food, and I'll just have like a yogurt or like a coconut yogurt or like an ice cream. It's all coconut milk, but I'll do stuff like that. So what am I craving? I think if you're on a weight loss journey or like a health journey, this is just I'm not a fat loss coach or anything like that, or a doctor, but I think cravings can hinder weight loss, right? So if you like give into every single craving, you're going to have an issue, I think. But even if you're like, what am I craving? You can always make things like less, like there's always a way to make your favorite foods, but in an alternative way. Like, I don't know of any food that I like that I can't make ketogenic, right? So high fat, low carb. My actual problem is the fact that I can't really do gluten or dairy anymore, even though I have lately. Oh my gosh, you guys. Let's just see what happens. But I have been having cheese. I have been having cheese with chili, but I haven't been having any problems. So that's actually cool, actually. All right, what's available for me to eat right now? Okay. I'm not sure where this is going to... I'm not sure what these questions have to do with like good or bad foods or unhealthy. The answer isn't to say unhealthy isn't bad. It's to remove all judgment labels from food, other than saying things like, this tastes good and I like it. If you're saying to yourself, oh, eating ice cream for dinner would be unhealthy, instead you need to ask yourself, okay. How will this food, all right. If the food you want fuels you, it's available to you, you can prepare it and it makes you feel good, then it's the right choice for you. There is not a healthier option in that moment. Okay, this is what I don't like. This is intuitive eating coded. I could not do this when I was obese. Like, I could not, I'm still obese, but like I couldn't do this when I was over 200 pounds. There's no way. Because one, we lie to ourselves. We really, really do. We will tell ourselves internally anything we can to get what we want, and in that time, if you are addicted to food. So I definitely think I was addicted to food. I thought about food all the time. I ate alone so that people couldn't see how much I was eating in a day. You know what I mean? Like, I loved food and eating was a big part of, like, eating was a hobby, right? I would lie to myself. Do I need to fuel my body? Yeah, everybody needs to fuel their body. What am I craving? Everything. Let me get it, right? What's available for me to eat right now? The entire kitchen. What can I afford? The food's already here. What do I have energy or spoons to prepare? I'm not worried about that because I don't give a shit about myself. What will this food make me feel good? Will this food make me feel good emotionally? In the moment, yes. I'll worry about how bad and guilty I'll feel later. How will this food make my body feel? Probably like shit, but I'm hungry, right? There's like I don't like intuitive eating for, especially when you're on a weight loss journey or anything like that, or you need to lose weight. If you're like over 1,000 pounds, like intuitive eating is what got you to be a 500-pound person, right? Your intuition is broken. Intuition should be like a goal for healing. Like, I think I eat more intuitively now. I think the way that I eat now is intuitive, but it took like training to get there. Do you know what I mean? And now I can be like, am I actually hungry? Now I can tell like when I'm hungry or when I'm not hungry. You know what I mean? Or when I'm full, right? It's actually mind-boggling. But I don't think that intuitive eating is for everybody, because I think we've got a problem. I think we are surrounded by food that is like so addictive and so tasty, and it's chemically made that way so that you are buying it often. I hate it. So it's super tiny. You probably can't read that. I'm going to do my best to read this for you. Let's go ahead and begin. Intentional weight loss is covert weight stigma, which makes it harder to critique, but it's just as harmful as long-term. Oh, but it's just as harmful long-term as overt weight stigma. Mocking, discriminating against, and shaming people for being in a larger body are all forms of overt weight stigma. Promoting intentional weight loss, on the other hand, is an example of covert weight stigma. Covert weight stigma, this is such weird, like, where is this being held? Where is this being taught? This feels like indoctrination. This is like the first meeting that you go to for if you want to enter the fat acceptance, fat liberation movement. They're like, this is our brainwashing. This reminds me of like that movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix, where it's kind of like roughly based. I'm gonna say roughly, but it was like super smoothly based on the Scientology. Just a lot of schooling and brainwashing, and from what I remember from the Leah Remini Scientology situation, I don't know, this just feels like this is what you have to learn before you can be a part of this club, right? It can sound like using weight loss as a synonym for health. It can sound like subconsciously believing that we should end weight stigma as long as certain conditions are met, e.g., all people in larger bodies are visibly doing certain behaviors with food or movement. Yes, they are. They are eating a lot and moving a lot less. It may be embedded within the feminist language of body autonomy and choice. So basically right here, they're saying they're hiding this underneath feminism, like, this is my body, I can do what I want, which, yes, you can. Even if you wanted to be fat, yes, that is your right. You can do whatever you want with your body. But they're saying this is being hidden within feminist language, like body autonomy and choice, when the fat acceptance community absolutely does that very thing with other marginalized groups. So they'll say things like fat phobia, which is similar to homophobia, or they'll say things like being fat is part of a queer community because fatness is queerness. They use civil rights terminology. I'm not a scholar or anything like that, but they use things like liberation, oppression, segregation, discrimination, when in reality, like, 72% of the country is obese or overweight. They act like, gosh, I swear to God, they act like everybody's 30, like a size 36. Like, no. So what I'm getting at is it's very rich that they would say that that weight stigma is hidden and embedded within feminist language, because, like, no, you do that with other marginalized groups' language and terminology. Let's pull back the curtain and lay out the logic of intentional weight loss so you can see the clear weight stigma as its core. In order for intentional weight loss to make sense as a universal good, there has to be something universally and inherently wrong with fat bodies and something universally and inherently right with thinner bodies. That premise is factually incorrect, and it relies entirely on weight stigma. Weight loss is, by definition, a project of bodily correction. I cannot fucking be. Somebody had to type this out. Somebody really believes this. Somebody really believes that, like, from what I'm getting, we haven't finished it yet. From what I'm getting, they believe that all intentional weight loss, regardless of if it's your body and your choice, is bad because it believes that your body needs to be corrected. And it believes that, it is rooted in a belief that your body needs to be corrected. There's something universally and inherently wrong with fat bodies. When in reality, in my opinion, I'm not a doctor, but in my opinion, yes, there is something wrong, especially in this country today. There is something wrong with obese bodies. We are in an obesity epidemic. Anybody denying the obesity epidemic, don't trust them to drive you anywhere because they are stupid. No, I'm not saying that everybody should be the same size. I'm not saying that it's not realistic to be like everybody should be thin. Not in our lifetime. I don't think it's not gonna happen, especially with like big food and big pharma doing their damnedest to make sure that, we stay fat. But being obese, being Tess Holiday size and being Samira size and being so large that you can't get out of bed or you can't be in, or you're constantly in pain. I'm not saying that is Tess Holiday in pain. I don't know. Is Samira in pain? I don't know. Do they have diabetes? I think so. Whatever. But it's that is never a good thing. Never a good thing. And I think that's what's annoying because do we know if I don't really know. Let me know if you guys know the lore. But does Samira deny health, or is she just really like we deserve clothes? Do they deny health, or do I'm not 100%. I'm not 100%, but I feel like there are like this person clearly doesn't believe that there's anything wrong with being obese. They don't believe that the size of your body has to do with anything with your health at all. And then there are some fat people who are like, yeah, I know that this is unhealthy, but I'm still going to stay fat, right? And then there's people in between. I feel like the meeting people have met, I feel like the fat acceptance community is honestly splitting and breaking apart into other little parties, right? Little sub-parties. It's very interesting to me. It's very interesting to me because some of these fat influencers, like their sole purpose on the earth is to like get fat clothing for everybody. And then there's some that are like, there's some that are on like the fashion side, and then there's some that are like, which I feel like is the fat acceptance side. I feel like I'm finally getting it and learning it. It's like, so the fat acceptance side is more like let's we fat people exist and we're gonna need clothing and yada yada yada, and I should be a fashion girly. And then there's the fat liberation side, which is like fat is not unhealthy, and your body size has nothing to do with your health, etc., etc., etc. I wasn't going to bring her up again, but Dr. Rachel Milner posted a video the other day and was talking about how belly fat was normal and like a normal part of menopause, and you shouldn't try to change something that's normal.
Increased belly fat during menopause is normal. Nothing needs to be done about it. The work here is not about trying to get rid of belly fat. It's about doing the deeper healing around the culture that has taught you that belly fat or increased belly fat is a bad thing.
When we all know, you and I know, that excess belly fat is visceral fat and not healthy, and you should pump the brakes and try to stop that. You know what I mean? If you notice that you're getting and gaining a lot of belly fat, you need to change your diet. Just saying, Rachel. It cannot be undertaken without first accepting that the body in question is wrong, undesirable, or ill. Ew. However, gently framed, weight loss promotion delivers the same underlying message. Something is wrong with the fat body. Something is wrong with fat bodies. I'm not going to stop saying that. We shouldn't be fat. I shouldn't be fat. You shouldn't be fat if you are fat. We should try to do our best to not be fat. Be a rebel. Everybody's fat. Let's be not that, okay? Additionally, both overt and covert weight stigma cause a harmful stress response that deteriorates health over time. I don't care what you think about my body, but if you are doing covert or overt weight stigma, it's causing stress on me. So, but I don't care, but I'm also stressed out by it. Shut up. With overt stigma, the brain triggers the release. Bruv. Where are they getting this? They're probably not even going to list any sources. Well, the person who shared this didn't share the entire thing, but I'm pretty sure this is fucking stupid. I need to search this. I'm pretty sure this is Dr. Asher Laramie, but let's keep going. Additionally, both overt and covert weight stigma cause a harmful stress response that deteriorates health over time. With overt stigma, the brain triggers the release of stress hormones like adrenaline, causing blood pressure and blood sugar levels to rise. I experienced overt stigma and I had a blood sugar rise. Is it possible? Could adrenaline, could somebody's overt, I mean, I feel like it would have to be like in your face screaming at you overt weight stigma. Like, what's a good example of that? It would have to be like blatant mocking of a fat body in front of a crowd of like 1,000 people. Your face on a jumbotron, somebody saying that you're fat, and you also having to care that they called you fat, even though we all know you're fat. You know you're fat, right? I feel like that's the adrenaline that would cause some kind of like a blood sugar rise. But I don't know. Also, I do know though, actually, that when you are super morbidly obese, like your hormone levels are crazy and out of whack. So I can see how maybe smaller versions of that type of overt weight stigma could cause some kind of an adrenaline rush because your anxiety is peaked because your hormones are all fucked up, right? So maybe that's it. With covert stigma, the stress response isn't as marked, but it lasts longer. Source? Over time, both forms of stress lead to cells aging more rapidly and suppressed immune system function. I just don't believe this whole, if you tell somebody that they're fat or if you tell somebody that they need to lose weight, that's actually going to stress them out and they're going to get more fat. So that's your fault. No, I don't believe that. I rebuke that actually. Like that feels like stupid science. Like maybe I'm wrong. Did we get like a group of like 1,000 people and do that? Is there a study on that? Is there? Now I must know. All right, so let's read this little bit. I don't think that I can find the actual notes. I don't know. It's just notes, whatever. Just an abstract. Let's read this. Objective rates of weight. Sorry, the title is The Weight Stigma of The Weight of Stigma, Cortisol Reactivity to Manipulated Weight Stigma. Objective. Rates of weight-based stigmatization have steadily increased over the past decade. This is from 2014. Okay. The psychological and physiological consequences of weight stigma remain understudied. So if you're like unfamiliar with what weight stigma is, weight stigma is the negative stereotyping, prejudice, devaluation, or discrimination directed at someone because of their body size or weight. So this is like discrimination of fat people, and it's cortisol reactivity. Okay. Methods. The study examined the effects of experimentally manipulated weight stigma on the stress-responsive hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, HPA, in 110 female undergraduate participants. So BMI, the average BMI of these students was 19.3, and the standard deviation was between 1 and 2 BMI points, okay? Objective BMI and self-perceived body weight were examined as moderators of the relationship between stigma and HPA reactivity. Results indicated participants' perceptions of their own body weight, but not objective BMI, moderated the effect of weight stigma cortisol reactivity. Specifically, participants who perceived themselves as heavy exhibited a sustained cortisol elevation post-manipulation compared with individuals who did not experience the weight-related stigma. Cortisol change did not vary by condition for participants who perceive themselves as average weight. So if you already know that you're fat, sorry, they're not fat, but if you believe that you're overweight and then you are, and so what they're saying is some of these gals believe that they were overweight, they experienced the weight stigma, they had an increase in cortisol, and then some of the gals didn't believe that they were overweight. They experienced weight stigma, no excess cortisol. So basically the Redditor is the whole weight stigma thing, in my opinion, applies to people who actually give a shit, right? Who are like, I am fat, and they know, and they care, and they don't want to be told that they're fat. In the first study to examine physiological consequences of active interpersonal exposure to weight stigma, experiencing weight stigma was stressful for patients who perceive themselves as heavy regardless of their BMI. These results are important because stress and cortisol are linked to deleterious health outcomes, stimulate eating, and contribute to abdominal adiposity. So, even if you have excess cortisol, so the excess cortisol and stress can, how am I going to say this? You can have excess cortisol in the body, you can be stressed out, yada, 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 but everything always boils down to the food, right? So, even if weight stigma causes stress, it's not the stress that makes people fat. It's the fact that you're stressed and you're eating like shit and you're eating too much and you're eating too often. Does that make sense? Anybody else a stress eater here? I was. I want to know what the method of manipulated weight stigma, like what were they telling these girls? Oh, okay, hold on a second. Mary Himmelstein. Okay. Oh, okay. So this is how they did the stigma. Okay. So they had the gals in a waiting area with a thin female Confederate. When the researcher returned several minutes later, she brought the Confederate into the hallway and said audibly, "Great news. You have qualified to participate in the group shopping activity. You can go across the hall to join others and wait for instructions." The control condition: unfortunately, this group shopping activity is full now, and since you were the last to sign up, we can't include you. And then the stigma condition: unfortunately, your size and shape aren't ideal for this style of clothing, and we really do want everyone to have fun and feel good. Plus, we want to return the clothing to the designer in good condition. Ouch. Oh, shit. Okay, I would be stressed out by that. That's funny. Okay. The stigma condition script was designed to contain components of stigmatization event. Sorry. The stigma condition script was designed to contain components of a stigmatizing event according to Goffman's framework, which specifies stigma as an abomination of the body and a blemish of individual character. Honestly, that's funny. Okay, this says, all participants were told, however, to receive your participation credit, we will have you do a virtual shopping trip and print your shopping bag. Come with me back to the other testing room so we can set you up to finish the study. The participant then completed psychosocial measures and did an online shopping activity. Because cortisol changes take approximately 20 to 40 minutes to register in saliva, the participant provided a second saliva sample 30 minutes later. The research conducted a funnel debriefing to assess believability of the cover story. Okay, whatever, we're done. But it is interesting that the gals who audit, but the best thing I learned from that is the gals who believed that they were big or whatever had experienced a higher cortisol spike than those who didn't believe that they were big. I think that's interesting. Whatever. Okay, make no mistake that suggesting and undertaking weight loss necessarily requires exposure to weight stigma and the accompanying stress response. Listen, sometimes you gotta have a little stress. Sometimes things have to get hard for you to fucking make progress, okay? People are just born fat, I guess. Getting fatter. Make your ancestors proud. These are hashtags, by the way, if you're just listening. They would want you to be well fed, or maybe not. I don't know your family history. Okay, there's a lot of reasons why equating fatness to being well fed is extremely shitty and not helpful for fat liberation. The most obvious, I just feel like nobody can be happy. Like nobody, they have to find, and this isn't just the fat acceptance community, this is just like everybody on the planet. Everybody has to find something to fucking complain about, and I'm kind of sick of it. The most obvious is that this continues to reinforce the stereotypes and misinformation that fatness is just eating too much. It is, though. What are you talking about? Are you denying that you get fat just out of thin air? Like Angelica says, photosynthesis? What are you talking about? every person who is fat because they've eaten too much in their life. Maybe 2% are something's going on and they're a medical mystery. Maybe they're an X-Men or something like that, right? The other reason that I don't think people realize is that when you encourage the stereotype fatness equals eating a lot of food, that stereotype does not just stop at judgment. That stereotype is present when the fat, poor person goes to a food bank. That stereotype is present when a fat person with... I'm so tired, y'all. That stereotype is present when a fat, poor person goes to a food bank. That stereotype is present when a fat person has pandaschrexia or other restrictive beating recorders. Science doesn't lie. Even if you feel like you're not eating a lot, and you're fat. If you in your heart of hearts are like, 1, I don't eat a lot. 2, I'm fat. And you're like, why is that? I'm poor. I have to go to a food bank. So that proves that I'm not eating a lot. Listen, you may feel like you're not eating a lot, but maybe you're eating foods that are very, very high calorie still, and you're sedentary. You're either eating in a way that doesn't fit your activity level. So you're eating too much for your activity level. And you're like, no, it's not. Maybe not bulk, but like the calories do count, right? Or that's it. Yeah, you're eating too much. Like, I don't know. And then the whole fat person has pandaschrexia. I'm not even going to get into that. We can discuss in the comments because how did they get fat? They may not be eating a lot now. But how did they get fat? That's the thing. Science exists. People don't get fat out of nothing. Nobody is just born fat. Nobody's born and destined to... Nobody on this planet has a destiny to be 500 pounds. That's not normal. That's not a good thing ever. And that's just not, like, no human being is meant to be 500 pounds. No human being, I would say, is meant to be... I don't know. That stereotype is present when the fatphobic legislation is being considered. What fatphobic legislation? That stereotype causes fat people in general to assume that they must be eating too much because they're still fat despite following a diet culture like religion. Listen, I thought I was too. I tried what I thought was everything, right? As far as like diets go and everything. And I thought, I'm doing everything right. I am trying everything I can. And you know what it was? I wasn't really trying. And I would do things for like a week or two, you know what I mean? I never really stuck with a plan. The only thing I actually could stick to was ketogenic, but that's because it's so indulgent and tasty and delicious. And like yes, there was a period where I had to adjust to like missing carbs, and I still miss carbs, you know. But I still have like fruits and vegetables. But as far as like bread, I do miss bread. But that's the only. Regardless, you think that you are following this diet culture or diet like a religion, but I promise you, like when you actually. Because I don't think that these people are going to stay like this forever. I know it's super easy to get sucked into fat acceptance, but like people come out of it. We know people. We know precious baby girls who get out of fat acceptance, right? When you actually lock in to something that works for you, so like the best diet on the planet is the diet that you'll stick to, right? So when you actually lock in and you find that lifestyle that works for you and is showing you results, then you'll realize and you'll wake up and be like, oh, I really wasn't like trying that I really wasn't trying that religiously. I kind of was half-assing that, and I was lying to myself, and I was eating a lot, and I'm not moving, barely, right? Fighting against fat phobia does include targeting the fat phobic belief that eating too much is wrong. Simultaneously, fighting fat phobia does not include pretending that there is no other reason except food intake for why a person's body is fat. So I think we can all agree that like yes, hormones take into account, or we should take hormones into account when we see fat people, right? Like like I said, I think there's an insulin resistance epidemic in this country right now, along like next to the obesity epidemic. That said, I'm promising you, with my heart of hearts, I believe that it all always is the food. You're eating too much. We're eating too often. We're eating bad food. And I say bad, and I mean bad. Like, nobody should be eating, like, Hawaiian punch flavored Oreos or whatever. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, nobody. And there's this there and the fat acceptance community is spreading this like weird rumor that eating whole foods is so fucking expensive, and it's like, is it? It's not, because you also get fuller when you're eating whole foods. I don't know. I really don't think eating whole foods. Maybe in your area somebody let me know, but I eat like mostly the most vegetables that I eat are like going to be squash, broccoli, and they're not all frozen. Like some, like I have two squash, which I need to eat tonight, but I have two squash in my fridge that were like $1 each, like $2. That's a meal. I've got ground beef, which beef is so fucking expensive right now, but if you buy it in bulk, which you have to prioritize, that's the other thing too. People are like, it's so expensive. Well, let's put what are your priorities? Where are your priorities? If you're like, I'm fat, but food is so expensive, but you also have like really nice nails, and you have to have the nicest phone, and you have to have new shoes every month, and you have to have, you know, like all these extra streaming services, and you think like, oh, well, I don't have any more money for food, so I'm just going to get like the bang for my buck, and it's all like junk food, right? Your priorities are not in order. Like your health should be a priority, and that means that you need to get rid of some stuff so that you can afford good groceries. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think that people put groceries at the bottom of their priorities, and it's like, let's rearrange. Let's get rid of something and put that extra money into your groceries. If Whole Foods in your area are expensive, I don't in my opinion, we save a lot of money. We started saving more money because we've been cooking at home, so we're not eating fast food as much, and we eat mostly whole foods. Like, we literally don't have packaged foods in the house. Well, except for like the tortillas that we were getting. But everything that we eat, like all of our meals, scratch and homemade and whole foods, right? My husband and I, we probably spend more than we intake, but we have like a deep freezer, so we're like stocking up on meat. We spend like 200 to maybe like 275 if I'm counting like times that we have to buy paper towels and stuff like that. But like we spend like $200 every 2 weeks. 200 to let's say $200 to $300 every 2 weeks for two people. And it really is mostly meat and frozen vegetable and like salad stuff. And we're fed. And we're not 500 pounds. I don't know. So if my husband and I, and this is just one meal, if we got fast food for every meal, let's say $15 a meal per person, right? Because that with tax and everything, that's like how much like a meal at Wendy's is. For 2 weeks, that would be like $420. Whereas my husband and I are stocking up on meat and frozen vegetable, and we're spending $200 to $300. And we don't even eat all the meat. Like, we have a ton of meat in our fridge, but we still keep getting it. I don't know. I'm on a ground beef kick, and we have lamb and stuff in there, and I'm just like, I don't want lamb right now. You know what I mean? Fighting against fat phobia. So to wrap that up, what I'm saying is that you're not following diet culture like a religion. You have no idea what locking in looks like. You are so controlled by food. And anytime somebody is obese, it is because of food. Now it's either three things. You're eating shitty food, you're eating too much, or you're eating too often. And sometimes it might be all three of those things, but sometimes you might just have two of those things. I need to do like an episode on that, because I really do think that, I mean, that's the problem. It's the food, the quality of food, the type of food. It's we're eating way too much, like portion size is huge, too many calories, too much intake, not enough movement, right? And then we're eating way too often. I think skip a meal, right? I've been saying that since day one. Skip a meal, you're going to be fine. And you don't need snacks unless you have like a medical condition or you actually work out, right? If you're like, I need snacks, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the person who is 400 pounds. Baby girl, you have snacks everywhere on your body. You have built-in snacks. You do not need snacks. No snacks 2027. I hate snacks. I love snacks because I'm fat, but like, we don't need them. Okay? Fighting against fat phobia does include targeting the fat phobic belief that eating too much is wrong. It is, I think you shouldn't be eating too much. So you're hurting yourself. And what's the point of eating too much? What are we going into a famine, or are we going on a, like, are we not going to have food for a while? Like, why are we eating so much? Simultaneously, fighting fat phobia does not include pretending that there is no other reason except food intake for why a person's body is fat. Hold on a second. Fighting against fat phobia does include targeting the fat phobic belief that eating too much is wrong. Simultaneously, fighting fat phobia does not include pretending that there is no other reason except food intake for why a person's body is fat. I'm so confused. Let me try that again. Fighting against fat phobia does not include targeting the... Fighting against fat phobia does include targeting the fat phobic belief that eating too much is wrong. Okay, so from my understanding, I think what they're trying to say is that they don't think that people should be judged for eating a lot. Fighting against fat phobia does include targeting the fat phobic belief that eating too much is wrong. We don't think that eating too much is wrong. We don't think that you should be shamed for eating too much. Simultaneously, fighting fat phobia does not include pretending that there is no other reason except food intake for why a person's body is fat. So they're also saying and acknowledging that food is not the only reason why somebody would be fat. I don't know. Am I wrong? Let me know if I'm wrong there. Fat fetishism, it has really taken a grip on this movement on Tumblr. But, dude, Tumblr, y'all, you guys need to go to jail. Everybody on Tumblr, I'm gonna arrest you right now. Because everybody there is so fucking horny. And I'm also, like, concerned because I feel like a lot of them are underage. And I'm just like, you guys need to be reading books. Like, stop. Everybody, shut off our computers. If you're on Tumblr, no more. Unless you're doing fans, like, I don't know. I'm so, like, I'm afraid with how horny Tumblr is. Like, it's weird. Whatever. But we seriously need to remember that a fetish isn't activism. Okay. Again, it's just complaining they'll never be happy. This stereotype alienates and harms countless fat people. Fighting diet culture and fat phobia does not require saying yes to every fat phobic piece of BS that has been forced on us. I am begging you not to equate fat fetishism to activism. And no, fat fetishism is not just being attracted to people with fat body types. Yeah. So I think fat fetishizers are harmful. Like, I think that people who like to watch women eat to the point of discomfort and they're like burping and their stomach is hurting and they're like, and I'm like, is your stomach gonna burst? That's scary. And they have no respect for that woman. Like, they may say that they love this woman, yada yada yada, but there's like zero respect. And you are just a tool for them. And some of them even want to see these gals perish. You know what I mean? So, yuck. We hate that. We hate that. Oh, this one is actually like perfect for me because I'm such a tinfoil hat bitch. This will be my last one, okay? Eating a little less equals constant deprived suffering. There's a government conspiracy to keep people fat talking point that some people do is so frustrating because no the fuck they aren't doing that. They hate fat people. Also, obesity epidemic, piss off. I'm a firm believer. I've mentioned this video in the past, but like if you haven't learned about the the industrial obesity epidemic, I believe it's a real thing. I think that big food, big pharma really wants to make people fat so that they have forever patients. And because obesity is linked to multiple comorbidities, and yeah, they hate fat people. What do you mean? 72% of the country is considered fat, right? We're all fat. Even a lot of people in government seats are obese. What do you mean? Okay. And then obesity epidemic, yes. Especially in children, the obesity rate has quadrupled since the 70s. Okay, so the obesity rate since the 70s has quadrupled for kids since the 70s. And then I think for adults it's tripled. But still, that's crazy, right? Let's look up a percentage. 40.3% of adults are obese. Okay, in the USA, roughly 72% of adults are overweight or have obesity combined with roughly 42% meeting the criteria for obesity alone. So more people are obese than just fat, than just overweight. Which is bananas. To me, it is an epidemic. And I would say it's an epidemic because it's happening so rapidly. Like it is let's go from 2000. 2000 obesity rate. In the year 2000, specifically measured, the age-adjusted obesity rate for the U.S. adults in the year 2000 was 30.5. So it's gone up 10%. Obesity, 10% since 2000. And I think I read somewhere that they think that 50% of the country will be obese by 2035. So in another 10 years. And then eventually we'll all just be like, Wall-E, is that what you want? I feel like it really is what they want. I mean, I do think the government kind of needs fat people because if we didn't exist, they'd have to invent us. If you don't keep your body in constant deprived suffering, you will become a hideous, unfuckable monster who will deserve every punishment inflicted on you, and everyone will be able to tell you what you are by looking at you and punish you accordingly. Needs to exist to keep the populace in line, but we do exist, so that works out well for them. So they're saying that they need that the government. So they're basically saying that the whole reason why there are like what fat people are on this planet for is so that the government can say like, look at this fat person. Do you want to be like this? They're just projecting basically. They do this on Tumblr, dude. They just think that like they're under constant attack. They're at war every single day. And I'm just like, you need help. Stop it.
Stop it. Get some help.
Get help. All right, everybody, there's Fat Logic Friday for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know what your least favorite Fat Logical take was. All right, if you've made it all the way to the end, leave a worm in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe right now. Do it. And go ahead and like the video. And if it's giving you the option to hype it, please hype it. I would really appreciate that. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And do not forget that obesity is caused by eating too much. Okay? Goodbye. Bye next to mine, 'cause I can't go on living in the memory of a song. I give my all for your love tonight.
Do you remember when we met? That's the day I knew you were my pet. I wanna tell you that I love you.